Hello, my name is Robert Marshall, and I am the author of Little Brown Boy and What Every Man Needs to Know. Outside of being an author and a speaker, I'm like many of you, a husband, a father of three amazing little children. And out of all that I've accomplished in my life, my greatest accomplishment is not being an author or climbing corporate ladders or earning multiple degrees, but it's my children. Why? Because I remember a time when my wife and I prayed and tried on multiple occasions to have them. And after three failed pregnancies and miscarriages, we felt helpless and hopeless. As a man, I felt like a failure because I couldn't give my wife the one thing that she wanted the most, which was children. And after many attempts, we had our three children, and I was there for the birth of every one of them. Matter of fact, I proudly tell her all the time that I was the first face that they saw coming out of the womb. I did what any father would do. I cried and I checked for two eyes, two hands, 2 feet, 10 fingers, 10 toes, and one, you catch my drift. And like many of you, I fell in love instantly with my children and knew that it was going to be my responsibility to love, nurture, protect, and support them. Now, I found out on this journey to fatherhood because there really isn't a manual that loving and nurturing my children come easily. And they don't take much, and it doesn't take much effort. But at times, I found out that it's challenging to support them. You know what I mean? I mean being present, not just physically there, but present meaning investing myself into the moments and fabric of their lives. Being a present father means more than supplying your child's physical needs. Your children or your child will one day grow out of the clothes that you buy, and they'll no longer play with the toys, and they will become desensitized to your money. But one thing they will never forget is the time you spent with them, just as you are right now. The moments and the memories of healthy discipline, laughter, and your investment in the things that they like and that they want to do. Oftentimes, as fathers, we have to be careful because it is our job to steer our children in the right direction, but we have to recognize the thin line of providing wisdom and guidance and manipulating our children into becoming who we want them to be versus who they were created to be. Our children were divinely crafted in the image of the divine and are expressions of God in the earth. As fathers, we've been entrusted to not break them, but to mold them and grow them into who they already were before they were formed in their mother's womb. Ask yourself and observe what comes natural to your little one. What are they passionate about? And what makes them smile and develop and nurture that? You can only find these things out by being what I call intentionally present. Saying no sometimes to the busyness of life, even if it seems like it's going to advance your career or put more money in your pocket. The greatest gift that we can give our children is the gift of our time and our attention. As men, we invest our time and our energy in things and places that mean the most to us. And we have to ensure that our children's lives and their education and their goals are ours too. I'm one of the best at what I do at work and in my business. And that's because I've invested the time and energy it requires to be great. Now ask yourself, what would your children's lives and future look like if we invested the same amount of time that we do into business and work, into their lives, into their passion? What would it look like if we invested the same level of energy, passion, money, and love into them? And I'm not going to lie, being a father is one of the most thankless and selfless jobs any person could ask for. But at the end of the day, that one hug or that one kiss from our child or children makes it all worth it. The truth is, I don't know how to be a father. And I didn't know how to be one because I never had a father. And I would often ask myself, how could I successfully be something to someone that I never had? How could I show my children a father's love when I didn't know what it looked like? How could I protect them when I never felt like I was protected? Many of us know the sting of fatherlessness and the lifelong effects it has on the life of a child. Let me read some statistics. Are you ready? According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 18.3 million children, that's 1 in 4, live without a biological step or adoptive father in the home. And consequently, there is a father factor in nearly all social ills facing America today. 85% of youth who are currently in prison grew up in a fatherless home. 57% of fatherless homes in the United States involve African Americans or Hispanic households have a 31% of fatherlessness rate, while Caucasian households only have 20%. 75%, hear me, 75% of rapists are motivated by displaced anger that is associated with feelings of abandonment that involve a father. Children who live in a fatherless home are 279% more likely to deal drugs or carry firearms for offensive purposes compared to children who live with their fathers. 92% of parents who are currently in prison in the United States are fathers. Living in fatherless homes is a contributing and one of the biggest contributing factors to substance abuse, with children from such homes accounting for 75% of adolescent patients who are being treated right now in substance abuse centers. By the age of 3, children of professionals have vocabulary that are nearly 50% greater than those who are from working class children, and twice as large as those children whose families are on welfare. By the end of the 4th grade, African American, Latino, and low-income students are of all races. Let me say that again. By the end of 4th grade, African American, Latino, and low-income students of all races are 2 years behind their wealthier, predominantly white peers in reading and in math. And by 8th grade, they have slipped 3 years behind, and by 12th grade, 4 years behind. 32% of the U.S. population is represented by African Americans and Hispanics, compared to the 32% of the U.S. population is represented by African Americans and Hispanics, compared to 56% of the U.S. incarcerated population being represented by African Americans and Hispanics. In my book, What Every Man Needs to Know, I talk about the importance and the privilege it is to be a man, and it is a privilege, and the gift we all have been given and must use responsibly. As men and fathers, we have a responsibility to show up in the world as men. Don't take this gift for granted, brothers. Please don't take it for granted. Use it to create a better world for the generations to come. And what every man needs to know, I outline 5 core truths that every man needs to know to show up in the world that he's been given to become the best version of himself. Number 1, we all need to reevaluate our working definition of what it means to be a man. Because we have to ask ourselves the hard questions. Where do we get our definition and our understanding of who we are at the core of our being? And is the definition that we have a healthy one? Number 2, we all need to know, regardless of who we are or where we're from, that as a man, we are enough. Regardless of our level of education, social class, or financial portfolio. I want you to put your hand on your chest, bro. Close your eyes for a minute and say, I am enough. I am enough. meaning you don't have to compare yourself to anyone else. You have an innate capacity to love and are deserving of being loved. I say this because I found out that oftentimes we as men don't know how to comprehend or receive authentic love that doesn't have strings attached to it. Is that your perception of yourself matters. You are not small and there is nothing insignificant about you. Show up in the world you've been given and show up wearing your man pants. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean being confident in who you are regardless of where you are. I said being confident in who you are regardless of where you are. This doesn't mean downsizing or belittling anyone else, but the essence of a real man is to love, honor, uplift, protect those who he loves. That's a real man. Understand and know that you were put on this earth for a purpose, and that purpose is bigger than you. Own it, accept it, and get busy doing it. Edwin Lewis Cole said, being a male is a matter of birth, but being a man is a matter of choice. We were born male, but we must continue to choose to be men. And every day that you have an opportunity and a choice, it is your responsibility to show up as the best version of yourself. So I want to encourage you to show up for yourself, show up for your children, and show up for your community. This call to fatherhood reaches beyond our physical children, but it is a call to disciple and to mentor and to uplift those who are around us. Look at who's around you. Look at your communities and see and know that you are a part of the answer. As we look around the world and we reflect on a few statistics I shared earlier, we understand that we live in a truly broken world. But I truly believe that you and I, yes, we are the answer to the brokenness in our communities and in our world. I stated earlier, a majority of social ills in our country and around the world stem from a lack of a presence of a father. You choosing to be present makes you a part of the solution. And we can heal our communities and ensure the future of generations to come by being fully present. This means sometimes not answering that text message or managing our time on social platforms or managing the amount of hours that we spend at work or in our man caves or with the boys. We have to reinvest our time, our energy, and our resources in our children within the next generation so that they can live better than we did. There's an old proverb that says that a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. What are you leaving for the next generation? What is your life? How does your life speak to who is to come? How does your life help and further the next generation? How can we start doing this? Number one, by actively listening and by intentionally showing up in the places we've been chosen to dominate. In my book, What Every Man Needs to Know, I said every man has a world, and in that microcosm, he is held responsible for nurturing, protecting, and governing what he has been given. The journey begins when you start asking yourself, what do I want for my life? And what do I truly believe? And what is the reason that I have been put on earth? And where do I want to be or go in my future? And what do I want for my children? And how am I prepared or in place to leave something that will further them and allow them to reach heights that I've never reached before? Is what I'm doing and how I'm living my life at this moment, is it enough for my ceiling to become their floor? Because the truth is, when a man is guided by his own convictions, he learns how to stand up in his divine authority and relearns how to speak not from a place of defeat, not from a place of lack, not from a place of less than, but to speak from and out of his divine God-like nature. When a man is able to do this, he must be willing to walk and live through whatever sacrifices he has to make to stand and live in his own truths. What kind of man are you? What kind of father are you? Are you living your life in such a way, if you were to leave this world right now, how would your community, your family, and your children remember you? My grandfather used to say this to me. He used to say, as long, Robert, as you have breath in your body and you are able to say good morning, you have the opportunity to be the change that you want to see in the world. Are you that change agent? Are you living, or are you merely existing? Are you the person that will reach out your hand to the next generation? Are you the father that will spend the extra time with their children when you are tired, when you are burnt out? You want to be the father that sits down and does homework with their child or their children to ensure that they're not just gliding through a system, but they have the support and the structure they need to be successful so that they can become whomever they desire to be. When I was a little boy, my teacher asked me, just probably like yours, Robert, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I said, whatever I said at the time, because I was given the ability to dream. And I believe what has happened to most men is that we once had an ability to dream and knew that we could do anything that we put our mind to. But because of how life works, it knocked our ability to dream. It knocked our ability to see ourselves beyond where we are. And I want to encourage you, my brother, to dream again. But not only to dream for yourself this time, but to dream for the generations that are to come. To dream for the generations that are coming behind you. To dream something so big that you have to change in order to make it happen. My name is Robert Marshall, and I hope that you are blessed by my book. And if you haven't read What Every Man Needs to Know, go grab it from my website, roberthmarshall.com. Connect with me via social media and share your thoughts with me about the book and your journey to authentic manhood and fatherhood. Thank you and have a great day.
All of who you are and hope to be is wrapped up in your ability to believe in who and what you are. You are a king that has the DNA of the divine running through your veins. There is nothing you can't do. Like Adam, look out and give name and definition to the world that you will have dominion over. What do you see? Often what we see externally is a mere reflection of what we see and feel internally. What do you see? Are you blinded by the fear of failure, pain, or inadequacy? What do you see? Is your vision blocked by the void inside that leaves you empty and desolate after you've given your best to only find out you're still just second best? You are not alone. Embrace this book as light and love. It is our hope that after reading this literary work that you would be enlightened and know your full worth. Life is filled with swift transitions, and learning how to navigate them is critical. Oftentimes men go through life wondering, am I good enough? What's wrong with me? Am I worth loving? Because they did not have the information or tools they needed to make it through their journey. The information that is mentioned in this book is not superficial. It will not help you build your financial empire. It will not bring you physical riches or fame. This is the type of information that enriches the soul. The purpose of this book is to create and awaken your internal compass to becoming the best version of yourself. Our desire is for you to be whole, to be the type of man that when you wake up, the world says, crap, he's still alive. To be the type of man that hungers for something more in life than just his next dollar or opportunity. A man of substance, a man of class, a man full of integrity, courage, wisdom, grace, purpose, identity, patience, and love. The type of man that's committed to changing the world to make it a better place. We believe you are that man.